Now let us study one of the fundamental law of electrostatics, or the fundamental law related to electric charges. That's nothing but Coulomb's law. So Coulomb's law of electric charges. Now, what is the statement of this law? Before stating this law, let us consider now there are two charges, Q1 and Q2. Whatever may be the magnitude of the charge, both the charges may be positive or may be negative, or one charge may be positive, another charge may be negative. That means I can consider either like charges or unlike charges. Positive, I can consider positive. Negative, I can consider negative. Or one may be positive and one may be negative. For the sake of simplicity, let us assume the two charges to be positive. That means I am considering like charges. Let the two charges be separated by a distance r, and let the two charges be kept in free space. That means what is the surrounding medium for these two charges? Free space. Free space means either air or vacuum. See, the space surrounding the charge, if it is either air or vacuum, then we consider that as free space. So, free space means don't take both. Consider only the air or only the vacuum, and we know that vacuum is a region where no gas particle exists, where there is no existence of any particle. That region is nothing but vacuum. Now, what is the statement of this law? Now, there exists a force, mutual force. What is going to be mutual force? Suppose if Q1 exerts some amount of force on Q2, in turn Q2 also exerts the force on Q1. Mutual means amount of force exerted by Q1 on Q2 will be equal to the amount of force exerted by Q2 on Q1. So each charge will exert or applies some amount of force on another charge. Suppose if this charge exerts a force on this charge, let us say force of 5 Newton, then in turn this charge will also exert the same amount of force on this charge. What is that force? 5 Newton. That is the meaning of mutual. Mutual force of attraction or repulsion, I say. Why? If both the charges are like charges, then between these two charges there exists a force of repulsion. Suppose if these two charges are unlike, that means if one is positive and another one is negative, then the force between these two charges is nothing but attractive. So while stating the law, usually we say like this: mutual force of attraction or repulsion between any two charges. Attraction or repulsion between any two charges. Let that force, I consider now the force acting on this charge as F. Or else I can consider the force exerted on the charge Q2 by the charge Q1. Q1 exerts some amount of force on Q2. So, force exerted on charge 2 by the charge 1. I write this as F21. Similarly, force exerted on the charge Q1 by the charge Q2. I write like this: force exerted on the charge 1 by the charge 2, F12. This will apply some amount of force on this charge in this direction. In turn, this charge will also exert some amount of force on this charge in this direction. Okay. Now, according to the law, force I consider first force exerted on Q2 by Q1. I can write this as F21. This force is found to be directly proportional to product of the charges Q1, Q2. That means if the magnitude of the charge becomes large, force between these two charges, that is F21 and F12, will also become large. The same force that's acting on each one of the charge, that is F21 and F12, is found to be inversely proportional to square of the distance. Or you can also say like this, directly proportional to 1 upon r square. What is r? R is the distance of separation between the two charges. Directly proportional to 1 upon r square or inversely proportional to square of the distance. Now, if I combine both this, then what do I get? F21 proportional to Q1 Q2 divided by r square. Now I remove the proportionality sign and I introduce some constant. What is that constant I introduce? F21 is equal to, what is F21? Force exerted on charge 2 by the charge 1. What type of force in this case? It is repulsive. Why? Both the charges are like charges, means positive charges. F21, some constant I am going to write. What is that constant I am going to write? Means I write the constant like this. K. F21 equal to K into Q1 Q2 by r square. Then what is the value of K? K is a constant whose value is given by 1 upon or 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. It's a Greek letter or Greek symbol. How we have to express it like epsilon, E-P-S-I-L-O-N. 0 I have put, therefore epsilon naught. No 0, epsilon. With 0, epsilon naught. Then, if I substitute this value in this equation, then what do I get? F21 is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by r square. This is the force exerted on Q2 due to Q1. Similarly, I can also write like this. Force exerted on Q1 due to the charge Q2. So, force exerted on the charge 1 due to the charge 2 equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by r square. This is nothing but the mathematical form. These two equations represents the mathematical form of Coulomb's law. Coming to this constant epsilon naught. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this epsilon naught? The constant epsilon naught is known as absolute permittivity of free space. Absolute permittivity of free space. Free space means either air or vacuum, because the charges are said to be placed in air. So, in this case, I consider air itself as the free space. So, the name given to this constant is absolute permittivity, whereas the name given to this symbol is epsilon naught. What is the meaning of this permittivity? See, permit means giving permission, granting permission. Here, the surrounding medium of the charges has permitted or given the permission to these two charges to exert the force on each other through it. That means air is the surrounding medium Now air has given the permission to these two charges to exert the force on each other through it. This charge will exert this amount of force on this charge through air. Similarly, this charge will exert this amount of force on this charge through air. How much of force in which each charge has to apply on another through air? That is permittivity. Then, what is the value of this epsilon naught? Or epsilon naught value can be taken as epsilon naught equal to 8.85 into 10 to the power of minus 12. Okay, so this is the value of the constant. Suppose if I substitute that constant into this equation, okay, into this equation, you know that k equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught means 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught is given by 8.85 into 10 to the power of minus 12. Then what is the value in which I am going to get? The value in which I am going to get is 9 into 10 to the power of 9. That means the entire value of 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 to the power of 9. Now, how to find the unit of this epsilon naught? Usually most of the students what they do is they try to by heart the unit. Suppose in the examination if you get confused about the units, then what you have to do is you must try to find out the unit by means of this equation. What I do now, suppose if I send this here and this to the denominator, if that's the case, what happens? Say for example, epsilon naught now 1 over 4 pi, I am shifting F21, okay, then Q1, Q2, R square. Try to extract or try to obtain the unit by writing the units to all these quantities. 1 over 4 pi constant, forget about it. 1 divided by force, what is the unit of force? Newton. Charge Q1 means coulomb, again Q2 coulomb, coulomb into coulomb divided by R is the distance. What is the unit of distance? Meter. R square is the meter square. So, what do we get now? Let us shift all this denominator to the numerator. If I shift this to the numerator, then it becomes per Newton. If I shift this, then it becomes per meter square. Then coulomb into coulomb, coulomb square. So this is the unit of epsilon naught. That means absolute permittivity of free space. So I can write this as per Newton, per meter square and coulomb square. So once again, the law states that the mutual force of attraction or repulsion between any two charges, what are those two charges, Q1 and Q2, is directly proportional to product of the charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between the two charges. Then if I combine these two, then I am going to get like this. This clearly shows that if magnitude of the charge increases, force increases. If the distance of separation increases, then force is going to decrease. Can we write this Coulomb's law equation in mathematical form? So certainly we can write the Coulomb's law equation in mathematical form. How to write the Coulomb's law equation in mathematical form? First, once again I write force acting on the charge Q2 due to the charge Q1. I express the force now in vector form, because in vector form how to write the Coulomb's law. F21 is equal to, already we know the value 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by, okay, divided by. Now I write this as R12. What is the distance? What is R12? R12 is the distance between the charge Q1 and Q2. Then instead of writing r square, I write r12 square. What I do is, look here, I write these two charges inside the modular sign. That means I am considering only the magnitude. I am least bothered about the sign. Sign is not important here. Magnitude of the charge is important because the law itself states that mutual force of attraction or repulsion between any two charges. Between any two means both the charges may be like or unlike. Then, completely, this is nothing but a scalar quantity. On left hand side we have vector quantity, whereas on right hand side we have scalar quantity, which is not correct. Therefore, I convert right hand side also into vector quantity. How? Just by writing unit vector. What is the unit vector? I am going to write R12 cap. What is the importance of unit vector or significance of unit vector? The purpose of writing unit vector in any equation is to give the direction to that physical quantity. Now I want to give the direction to the force. Therefore, how to give the direction to this force on right hand side? By introducing one unit vector. Then what do I write? R12 cap is the unit vector. Magnitude of this unit vector R12 cap is equal to 1 is nothing but unit vector which gives direction. Okay. Now, so by introducing R12 cap, the value is not going to change because R12 cap value itself is equal to 1. Therefore, the magnitude of the force is not going to change, it remains as it is. Here, what is meant by unit vector? A vector whose magnitude is always equal to 1 is known as unit vector. Similarly, now I can write like this: force acting on charge Q1 due to the charge Q2. F acting on 1. Why should I write 1 first here instead of writing 2? See, it is as simple as this. Suppose if I give a punch to one of the person and there will be some impact on that person. Here also the force exerted by Q2 will be on Q1. So impact is taking place on Q1 due to Q2. What is that impact? Force. Force is the impact. Okay. So that is why I write first. Whereas while considering the force on this, impact will be on the charge Q2 by the charge Q1. That means this is giving a punch to this. That is why I write 2 first. Whichever receives the punch, that should be written first. Whichever gives the punch, that should be written next. Similarly, here, this charge is said to be giving punch on this. Therefore, I write 1. Next, I write 2. Person receiving punch should be written first. Person who gives the punch should be written next. So, F12, put arrow. So, no change. 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, no change in the equation. Only direction will change. So, Q1, Q2, modulus of Q1, Q2 represents the magnitude of the charge. Then divided by, now I write R21. R21 square into R21 cap. Don't get confused. 21. Here also it should be 21. Then here also it should be 21. One correction. So R21, R21, all subscripts remains to be same. Here 1, 2, again 1, 2, again 1, 2. Okay. Force on Q1 due to Q2. Then what is R12 cap? Once again, R12 cap is nothing but unit vector. Since R12 cap and this is R, force acting on 2 due to 1, force acting on 1 due to 2. Okay, force acting on 2 due to 1. So all subscripts remains to be same. Once again here, all subscripts remains to be same, you just look into these two. R21 is also unit vector, R12 is also unit vector. Each of these unit vector has its own direction. Then what is the direction of R21 cap? The direction of R21 cap will be along the direction of the force F21. That means direction of R21 cap will be along the direction of the force F21. Similarly, what is the direction of R12 cap? Direction of R12 cap will be along the direction of the force F12. So this unit vector has the direction in the direction of this force, whereas this unit vector has the direction in the direction of this force. So this is how we can express the Coulomb's law in vector form. Force acting on charge 2 due to charge 1, force acting on charge 1 due to charge 2. So subscripts throughout remains to be same 2 1 2 1 2 1, but R12 square A I have written. Understand? So I can consider either this as R12 or as R21. While considering the force on this charge, I consider this as R21. While considering the force on this charge, I consider this distance as R12. So don't get confused. While considering the force on this charge, force on 2 due to 1, I consider the distance as R21. While considering the force on this charge due to this, I consider this distance as R12. In the examination, suppose if they ask you to write the Coulomb's law in vector form, write Coulomb's law in vector form and explain the terms. No need to write all these equations. You make it simple as possible. How to write the Coulomb's law in vector form in the simplest manner? F equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square into R cap. What is R cap? R cap is nothing but unit vector directed in the direction of force. Since it's a 2-mark question, you have to write the equation and you have to explain the terms also. Q1 and Q2 are the charges, separated the distance R, one sentence. And be careful about this. This you have to specify must and should, because this gives the direction. So R cap is the unit vector which represents the direction of the force. Suppose if you consider the force along this direction, then R cap will be all along this direction. Suppose if you consider force along this direction, then R cap will be along this direction. So this is how you have to write the Coulomb's law in vector form if it is asked for 2 marks. Sometimes they may ask you to write Coulomb's law in vector form. No need to explain it, it will be for 1 mark. For 1 mark question, simply write this equation, no need to explain. Now based on this Coulomb's law, I can define one term. That means I can define the SI unit of Coulomb. Okay? So what is 1 Coulomb equal to, or the question may be like this, define SI unit of charge. Okay? What the SI unit of charge? Coulomb, represented by symbol capital C. Now I have to define 1 Coulomb equal to what? Or we can also define unit charge. 1 Coulomb is equal to what? Or unit charge. What is meant by unit charge? Unit charge is a charge whose magnitude is equal to 1 Coulomb. A charge having a magnitude equal to 1 Coulomb is considered as unit charge. So the question remains to be same. Define 1 Coulomb or define unit charge. So define 1 Coulomb or define unit charge. How do you define it? I consider Q1. I want to define this as unit charge. Therefore, I consider its magnitude as equal to 1 Coulomb. If I want to define this as equal to unit charge, Q1 as unit charge, I need some reference. So what I do is, I consider one more charge, identical charge. Means if this is positive, this is also positive, its magnitude is 1, magnitude is also equal to 1. Now let the two charges be separated by distance r equal to 1 meter. I am going to define this as unit charge. If you want to define this as unit charge, consider one reference. What is the reference means? Consider another charge which is identical to this. So Q2 is identical to Q1, both magnitude wise and nature wise. Nature wise, if this is positive, this should be positive. If this is negative, this should be negative. No positive and negative. Either both should be positive or both should be negative. But separation, 1 meter. Okay. Now, if I substitute in the equation f, let us consider the scalar form of the equation. 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught is there. What is the value of Q1? 1. What is the value of Q2? 1 coulomb. What is the distance of separation between the two charges? 1 meter. What is the overall value of 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught? 9 into 10 to the power of 9 into entire thing. If you multiply and divide by 1, it's equal to 1. So now, how do you define unit charge? Unit charge is the charge which, when placed at a distance of 1 meter from another identical charge, experiences a repulsive force of 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton. Suppose if this charge experiences a force, repulsive force of this 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton from this charge, if this experiences a force of this value from this charge, then this charge can be considered as unit charge, or the magnitude of this charge can be considered as equal to 1 coulomb, provided this charge should be kept at a distance of 1 meter only from another charge which is identical to it. This is the condition applies. You cannot keep this charge at your own distance. You cannot keep this at our desired distance. It should be kept at a distance of 1 meter. That is one condition. Another condition, it should be, its magnitude should be same as that of this, and nature should be same as that of this. That is why by defining unit charge, how do we define? Unit charge is the charge which, when placed at a distance of 1 meter from another identical charge, experiences a repulsive force of 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton. Similarly, you can also define this as unit charge. Unit charge is the charge which, when placed at a distance of 1 meter from another identical charge, experiences a force of 9 into 10 to the power of 9. One simple question here. Suppose if this charge is of 100 microcoulomb and if this charge is of only 1 microcoulomb, then magnitude of the force on which charge is maximum? Force acting on this charge due to 1 microcoulomb of charge is F21. Okay. Force acting on this charge due to this charge is F12. Just we want to know whether the force acting on this charge is maximum or on this charge it is maximum, because the magnitude of the charges are different. But what actually happens means, the law states that force between any two charges is directly proportional to product of the two charges. It is not directly proportional to product of any one charge or individual charge. Therefore, force on this charge due to this charge, if it is F21, say for example, if it is of 0.5 Newton, F21, if it is of 0.5 Newton, then force acting on this charge due to this charge, what is that force? F12 will be also equal to 0.5 Newton, because the force is mutual. If you multiply Q1 and Q2, Q1 is 1, Q2 is 100. If you multiply in what? In a reverse way, Q2, Q1, then also the magnitude remains to be same. 1 into 100, 100 into 1. The magnitude in either case remains same. Therefore, force on each of the charge should be same, irrespective of the magnitude of the charge. Whatever may be the magnitude, let us not worry about it. So, one may be stronger and one may be weaker, still the force acting on each of the charge remains to be same. That means, if this force is of 0.5 Newton on this charge, then on this charge also this force is found to be 0.5 Newton. So this is what we have to understand from this. Okay, thank you.